these games that you're kind of playing for bits and pieces now, that they're not going to get into your any other way from my take on it.
Yeah, big games in the Premier League as well coming up for them.
Huge games, but you know what? I just want to see. I think they just need to shift the focus and figure out play on these young kids. Play on them. Martinelli's got to get back into the side. Smith Rowe's been fabulous. Saka's been fabulous. They're not going to get into the top four through the Premier League. The Europa League is going to be their focus, but those young kids have been the highlight of this Arsenal team. Focus on those guys and build to the towards the future. And then if there's any money in the summer, go get some key players that can help these youngsters take the next step. But I still think play the young kids, they're the ones that got the biggest upside.
Okay, well, one match down, 3 more to go on Matchday Live, and our next stop is Bramley. The Sheffield United, off the back of that win against Aston Villa, are up against Southampton, who really need to get back to winning ways.
Arnold Palmer. He led the way through all of this game. A legend who showed what it means to be great. Respecting the game and the fans, inviting everyone to join Arnie's army. And they remember what he told them. You must play with to miss the Arnold Palmer invitation.
I think it disconnects from the laptop first. Otherwise, you pull down that laptop and you see. You know what I mean? So it is disconnected again.
And the shots. This Sunday on Supersport, the last Stylebender moves up to light heavyweight to challenge for another UFC crown. The stars are out in Dubai for the opening WTA 1000
It's a bit hard to disconnect.
when the red and blue halves of Manchester collide.
No time to do it. You got to do something. That's what we do. This is my favorite year. With 5 times dual action to protect you and your favorite space. Try Essie's #1 anti-slip deodorant.
Hollywood Bets, it's on casino and live games. Who's the boat? You don't charge a bit. What? What? I don't get excited about the boat. Just listen to your body. It's a real hatch. Jeez. You have something that comedians or something, right? The Spanish turbocharged Corona hatch with reverse camera, wireless charging, and world-class safety features. Corona has it all.
Good things to be told. Just
The Dangote Petroleum Refinery is going to be the largest single train petroleum refinery in the world. Dangote Industries have enormous confidence in this refinery. We are here about 5 billion liters of capacity. This project is transformational for the country and for the continent. In terms of energy, sub-Saharan Africa
Yes.
becomes a massive world. The amount of Arab land, along with water, is a potential for other countries and expanding its whole infrastructure and capacity to produce rice on a massive scale. Sugar is a hugely essential commodity. The world is the world last contributed sugar production. We work for the sugar art technology. It will help to create employment and reduce the massive demand for imports. Every area is driven by infrastructure. Dangote has been taking steps to improve the infrastructure in Africa. I'm very proud of that. He's reaching out to my team is going to have a major impact on the lives of the Africans. It's a moment of great pride.
Isolated away in Hong Kong. In central Kalimantan, Indonesia, and in Taiwan. In Kinshasa. Moscow.
London, Mexico City,
Brazil.
the White House, and this is CNN.
Transformation and drivers of progress. Pioneers of creating impactful solutions through science and technology. Sonic International University of Science and Technology. Driving change. 493-1000 for details. Women's choice study. They fight to the land. This life is any favorite.
Travis next.
Let's have a morning to you, Mark 6. I'm Victor Blackwell.
I'm Emerald Walker in for Christy Paul. You are in the CNN newsroom.
So it is a busy and consequential Saturday morning on Capitol Hill. We could be very close to the final single of President Biden's $1.9 trillion rescue bill. Not look at the Senate. Senators have been up all night. This marathon session, debating and voting a series of amendments.
This process, known as Votorama, was delayed for nearly 12 hours while Senator Joe Manchin faced off with fellow Democrats on enhanced employee benefits. Senator Manchin ultimately agreed to a compromise, extending the benefits through September 6th. Republicans are now running out of options to stall voting after Democrats refuse to stop for the night.
Now that this agreement has been reached, we are going to power through the rest of the process and get this bill done.
Oh my goodness. That's been quite a start. Quite a start to this fast track process.
CNN's chief congressional correspondent, Manu Raju, is following us all on Capitol Hill. Manu, they've been up all night. Any indication on when we'll get the final answer on if it's time to end debate and vote on this bill?
Well, the end is actually in sight based on what both sides are indicating. The senators are just exhausted after 11 straight hours overnight of voting. As part of this free-flowing amendment process, Republicans have tried to gut, derail, and change core elements of this bill through the amendment process overnight. But Democrats have successfully fended off those amendments. There have been some changes made to the bill, but not enough at the moment to derail its path to pass. This bill is significant in size and scope, $1.9 trillion. It impacts virtually all aspects of the U.S. economy, provides more money for vaccines, for providing direct payments for individuals and families, also money for schools, for states and localities, and extending jobless benefits. And that issue about extending jobless benefits led to a major stalemate on the floor yesterday that actually risked the bill's collapse after Joe Manchin, the West Virginia Democratic centrist Democrat, balked at the last-minute deal that had been reached between the White House and Senate Democratic leaders to extend jobless benefits at $300 a week and also ensure that first $10,200 is not taxed of those jobless benefits. But Manchin refused to support that plan. As a result, the Senate was in a standstill for 12 hours yesterday. In fact, the first vote was left open for 12 hours. That is the longest time of any single vote in modern history, as Republicans, as the Democrats, were working furiously behind the scenes to win over Manchin behind that plan. Their concern is Manchin would jump ship and vote for a Republican alternative that would gut the core elements of the proposal. But Joe Biden got on the phone with Joe Manchin, as well as Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, other rank-and-file members pressed him, and ultimately he cut a deal to ensure that only certain households would be eligible to deduct that $10,200 to ensure that money of jobless benefits is not taxed. As a result of that compromise deal, that has paved the way for this bill's passage, and we do expect that passage potentially to occur within the next couple of hours, Rich and myself. After an arduous fight, Democrats believe that they can keep their caucus together, and because Republicans are overwhelmingly uniformly opposed to this because they believe it's too big, too costly, and it's unwieldy, Democrats need to ensure that they have all 50 of their members together, get this through with all 49 Republicans who are here voting against it. That means that they could provide final passage soon, and then the House could potentially act as soon as the coming week and send us to Joe Biden's desk at that point.
We'll head there next. Manu Raju, thanks so much. As Manu said, keeping a close eye on this is the president. He's waiting to learn the fate of his first major piece of legislation.
Yeah, but there's still a lot more voting to go before it reaches his desk. CNN's Joe Johnson at the White House now. Hi, Joe. So what does the team Biden say about how this is playing out so far in the Senate and Joe Manchin's 11th hour deliberations?
They're saying very little about it. Quite frankly, Jen Psaki put out a statement last night essentially saying that the president was grateful to all of the senators who worked on the unemployment benefits part of the bill. And we also have a little graphic. This agreement allows us to move forward on the urgently needed American Rescue Plan with $1,400 relief checks funding. We need to finish the vaccine rollout, open our schools, help those suffering from the pandemic, and more. So it's pretty clear as to Joe Manchin that the president is not piling on. In fact, Jen Psaki isn't piling on either. No one here talking much about Senator Manchin. One thing that Psaki has said, in fact, is that the president has the benefit of experience when it comes to senators in a 50-50 Senate. And that experience includes 2001, when a Republican senator named Jim Jeffords single-handedly flipped the Senate by moving from Republican to independent, thereby giving Democrats power to control the Senate at a time when George W. Bush, a Republican president, was trying to put his agenda in place. So Joe Biden understands that who's going to have to deal with Joe Manchin of West Virginia and any other Democratic senator who wants to voice her. Back to you.
All right, Joe Jones, appreciate you. Thank you very much. The FDA has issued an emergency use authorization for a new COVID-19 test that looks for a different type of immunity.
Is that
Even the current idea now is going to be a place for himself to the activity that got absorbed by the CC,
Residents are looking forward to a new shopping experience. She says I'll be happy because the town residence is too small and there's too many people in the area.
They'll be helping us to get jobs. We'll be happy. We'll be happy because shopping will be free. Shops will free now.
The Autumn Leaf Shopping Complex is expected to open in March next year. Celebrating her home is in this news. Yes.
We do it again this Saturday. Catch the draw show on SABC2.
On Stories Untold, we travel far and wide to bring you stories with hope and inspiration.
I don't need to rely on I can see that
This is it, the RX 6900 XT. It looks nice, it feels nice, it even smells nice. But can it really be that simple? Just tack a few more compute units onto the 6800 XT and suddenly you're the top dog? Well, that would be nice, but it's also not quite that easy. Oh, also, nice sponsor, World of Tanks. Thanks to World of Tanks for sponsoring this video. World of Tanks is the free-to-play epic online combat multiplayer game that features tanks. Use invite code TANKTASTIC at the link below to get some great bonuses. After the announcement, we hoped that AMD was doing more under the hood than just increasing the number of compute units, because the RX 6900 XT, at least on paper, is otherwise exactly the same card as the RX 6800 XT. Same RDNA 2 architecture, same core clocks, same memory, same power draw. Hey, wait a minute. AMD pulled a fast one here. The rated graphics power is the same, but the recommended power supply is 100 watts higher for the 6900 XT. So it seems that, in spite of those extra compute units and the cooler being identical, barring what AMD calls minor tweaks, the 6900 XT is in fact being pushed quite a bit harder in boost than its sibling. Well, okay, mystery solved then. That's exactly what AMD says is happening, and the 6900 XT is in fact a highly binned part capable of overclocking much more reliably than the 6800 XT can. It's an impressive feat considering just how fast some of those cards can go. Of course, we can't just take AMD at their word. This is Linus Tech Tips! We've got to test it for ourselves. So, we grabbed the 3 fancy new Radeons and their corresponding GeForce cards and took them all for a spin. As you might expect by now, AMD crushed it in traditional rasterization, coming close to the RTX 3090 in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, despite costing $500 less. Though they fell well short of even the RTX 3080 when it came to real-time ray-traced lighting. Minecraft RTX tells a similar story, with AMD choking hard enough here that the 6900 XT managed only half of the RTX 3080's performance. To be fair though, ray tracing wasn't AMD's focus for this generation, and as much as we keep pointing it out, it is the future, path tracers like this aren't common yet. So, turning back to more traditional rendering, Wolfenstein Youngblood looks like a win for the RTX 3090, except that given the 6900 XT managed numbers halfway between the 3080 and 3090, the price difference makes AMD's offering look very compelling here. Microsoft Flight Simulator didn't do AMD any favors. Yeah, the 6900 XT is a better value than the 3090, but then the 3080 makes both of them look like a ripoff. And Counter-Strike is nearly a win across the board for Team Red, with the RTX 3090 only pulling ahead in minimum frame rates. Of course, all of this changes if you're willing to accept